This is your station.
Catholic radio for your community.
From the Catholic Underground.
Today on the show, a Kindle stuffed into a watch, MP3s on little plastic discs, confraternity, social justice, our picks of the week, and so much more. The Catholic Underground starts right now. Alrighty, it's time for the Catholic Underground, your weekly Catholic guide to the digital continent. It's episode number 216. I'm Father Chris Decker. Joining me this week, we got Father Ryan Humphreys. He's the pastor of the Nativity of the Blessed Virgin Mary Catholic Church in North Central Louisiana. He's also associate chaplain for Radio Maria USA. Hello, Father.
Hey there, world.
We've also got Kathleen Lee. She's a teacher at St. Joseph's Academy in Baton Rouge and our resident faith ninja. Hello, Kathleen.
Good evening.
And Jeff Blackwell. He is the technical director of the Catholic Underground. He's our audio guide du jour. He also services the exhaust ports on the Jeff Star 1 near-Earth satellite. Hello, Jeff.
Howdy ho, neighbor.
That's right. We got him back down from Earth. And we've also got some guests in the studio. We've got Ed Ball, who's joining us, and we've also got his son, who is in full soccer attire. So it's nice to have a little bit of a studio audience.
Thank you, Father. Appreciate it.
Yeah, very cool. Alrighty, well, now, nerds of all shapes and sizes descended upon Las Vegas this week for the Consumer Electronics Show. CES, as you may know, is a mecca for all kinds of new technologies and companies, big and small. They show off their latest and greatest inventions and ideas. And Microsoft has been a part of this in the past, as has Apple. And Father Ryan, this, yes, even though Apple and Microsoft aren't there, they're certainly there in spirit. So this was a good one this year.
Yeah, there were tons and tons and tons of new products that are Windows-based or Windows 8 or Microsoft or Apple. And the CES keynote this year, which we're not going to talk about tonight, was hysterically weird. And so we're looking forward to whatever kind of strangeness, because in the past, Apple did it, and then Microsoft did it, and this year it was wackadoo-tastic. It was a great event, and I know a lot of nerds out there watched a lot of videos produced by bazillion people on the social webs.
Well, it seems like everybody with an iPhone now is doing reports from the floor of CES, and that's just amazing to me. Now CNET, I believe, had some very good coverage as well. They had the full setup. And so, do you think that maybe the fact that they're becoming a little bit weirder is showing they're trying to make it a little bit more into that nerd niche rather than trying to be mainstream? Because CES used to be kind of this mainstream thing, right?
Well, right. Before the social web, it was you had to find a way to get your information out there to people who were shoppers. And now, because you can get everything online, you don't actually need a trade show to do that. And so I think that the value of being there is doing things that are networky, but also that are weird and zany, and that you kind of want to be in the audience for because you don't know what's going to happen next.
I see what they're doing. So they're trying to give you a kind of more bang for your buck thing, a reason to come.
I'm just wondering, is wackadoo-tastic, is that a trade name or something?
It's a service mark for Father Ryan.
Oh, I love it, Father. That's great.
I think you should register it. I think that'd be great. So now there was this really cool, well, I shudder to call it a toy. I think it could be a product of modern need. And Father, it's called the Pebble. And I have to say, I'm pretty amazed by this device. It's a wristwatch, right?
Right. When we've talked about wearable computing on the show several times, and the Pebble actually combines several of the cool technologies we've talked about that really do make it a wearable computer that's not just a gimmick. Remember we talked about tattoos that did cool stuff before. But what it is it looks like a wristwatch. It has an e-ink display like a Kindle or a Nook, and that makes it save on battery life. It links to your iPhone or your tablet with Bluetooth, and that's where the fun really gets started. It can do then is you say, okay, you get a call on your iPhone. You look on your wrist and it shows you what the caller ID is.
Love it.
Oh, wow.
Your Android phone, look on your wrist. There's the tweet. New Facebook from your Nexus 7 or your iPad Mini. Push messages from Farmville.
Because everybody needs that.
Oh, no.
Yes.
It's a bottomless, bottomless chasm of information that really means you don't have to take your phone out of your pocket as much. Your phone doesn't get dropped as much. Your phone doesn't get scratched as much. Your phone doesn't get stolen as easily. It's really a great idea.
Maybe your watch does, though.
Wow.
Say that again?
That's why it's strapped to your wrist.
Yeah, that's right. It doesn't stop some people, though. I know being in Italy, there are some very clever ways that folks can get to get to your wristwatch and things like that. However, this Pebble is a really cool idea. I'm not really sure why it's called the Pebble, but watching the video online, I pre-ordered one because I just I haven't pre-ordered Father Ryan, you'd be very proud. I haven't pre-ordered an expensive thing in quite a while, and so I said, yeah, I think I'll get one because it's like $150. Now, $150 is it's the price of the traffic ticket that I'll probably be paying for turning right on red this evening. But $150 is not a terrible price to pay for something that could be this useful. Now, of course, it's probably going to be in beta for a while. But the thing I like about it too, Father, is that it's actually open source, meaning that there's a software development kit on it as well.
That's right. In fact, there's an app store they're developing, so you'd be able to download different apps that were different cool watch faces. But also any number of other things that your phone might drive that would be useful for you to know.
Yeah, exactly. So and actually, that's a neat thing too. Is I'm more apt to be able to look at my watch while I'm driving than to try and text on my phone or do anything, because those things will eventually it's going to get you crashed into something.
I'm just wondering, can we get a ooh ah from the crowd here?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's nice.
I'll have to record one of those. I can have it at my fingertips. Yes.
Put that on your little sound device.
That's right.
Oh,
Is there a sound thing on the Pebble?
Not now, but you'd imagine at some point they would have a Bluetooth microphone there. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
I just think Dick Tracy.
That's exactly right.
That's got to be what it is.
It's the video watch. It's only a matter of time before they actually have a full LCD display. Now, didn't the same developers? I think they did another watch for the Android platform, and I think it was like a little mini display or something like that. But it required a lot more juice to run. But yeah, it's very much the Dick Tracy video watch, and it's only a matter of time before there's some Maxwell Smart headphones that get pulled out the sides there, and you get to talk to the chief. That's right. Oh, Max. Yeah. So now there are always going to be needs for different kinds of devices, and I mean, we talk about the perfect device, Father, but there's really probably no perfect device, is there?
No, and there never could be. I mean, an office worker and a stay-at-home mom are always going to have different needs, and because we have different needs, this kind of technology actually helps to create an ecosystem, and you decide where you need to be in the tech ecosystem.
Right, which you've done well. I know, Father, whenever I go to your rectory, you've got all the stuff that works in your workflow. Right.
Right.
And so would the Pebble be something that you would have as part of your workflow, do you think?
If it goes from $150 to $99, yes, it would.
I see. Well, very good. How about you guys here, the lay geeks in the chat?
Hey.
Yeah. I mean,
I resemble that remark.
That's right. Well, geek is a good designation.
I know, but I really don't think that I have earned that title yet.
Oh, you're getting there. Well, maybe if you got a Pebble.
Yeah,
right?
maybe. I think that it's certainly interesting to see how we can use that in a social setting. Because right now it's so awkward to pull out your phone and you feel like you're being rude, or like just today I was giving like a talk with two people, and so my friend Steven was talking, and I needed to make sure that we were on time because I don't have my phone on me. So I had to pull it out, but I was in front of people, and it's also, it's at a
it
time
looks like
when
you're disengaging.
Yeah. When you could see, somebody's calling me, I need to catch that so I can excuse myself instead of pulling out my phone and going, taking that time. So it's interesting to see what it would do to our social interaction.
That's very true.
Because the phone has become such that I am disengaging. I'm not really paying attention to you.
Right.
But a watch is a little bit more socially acceptable.
How about you, Ed? What do you think about the Pebble?
It's intriguing, but I'm wondering about the social part of it.
Yeah.
Is the fact that I can sit here and talk with you guys, but when my phone rings, what just happened? Who's got more important?
Yeah.
And is it am I monitoring my own importance, or what? How will that affect you? And I think the watch is certainly something to consider. It might be easier to decide how you want to handle it, but the whole process of using your cell phone. Yeah, you can go back to the question of what did you do without it,
right?
And how did you handle conversations and social interaction between folks.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to take your gadgets off.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
that's the
Not use them.
Right, exactly, and that's of course part of prudence, which is a good virtue to practice. Jeff, are you thinking about the Pebble here as a sound engineer? Of course, there's no sound device on it.
No,
But,
I'm sorry. I was just texting that Prudence there. But,
That's right, he was googling it. Right.
no,
right.
I think it's super from the standpoint of, like you say, while you're driving. I don't know a thing about it, but I'm going to sure look into it and find out about it.
Yeah, sure. Now, Father, what makes a good wearable add-on? Because this isn't the first time we've talked about, as you say, a wearable computer. You know, Dick Tracy had one, and this was a radio show, you know, way back when, and he had all the latest gadgets to be able to communicate with headquarters. So really, as far back as probably the 1920s, we've been trying to figure out a way to have these small little computers on us so that we could communicate with one another, and it's finally here. And it's a little bit smaller than a digital watch from Casio from the 80s, you know. So what makes a good wearable add-on for your needs, Father? If you had to wear a computer, what's a good one?
Well, I think that a wearable computer needs to do some function. It needs to do it well, and it needs to do it in such a way that it's not obtrusive when it's not doing it. You know, if you have to wear a giant Ghostbusters proton pack around all day long, it's not helpful. It's just not, unless you're, you know, a ghost hunter. But you know, I think a watch like that would be able to give you some information and then basically to get out of your face is incredibly useful. Now, Google Glasses, the nonsensical idea that you've got to put a giant heads-up display in front of your face and wander around with that thing on, I think that's missing the boat. I think this watch makes a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and actually, whenever I did wear a watch, my phone has since taken over my timekeeping. But when I did wear a watch, I got to the point where I was really good at being in the middle of perhaps a counseling session and do something with my hand so that I could glance at my watch so the person never knew that I was momentarily disengaging from the conversation so that I could make sure we were on time. And I like the idea of wearing a watch again whenever, if I see, I'm expecting a text from the Chancery, you know,
Yes.
and if it comes in, I can go, okay, and now I can gauge my time. But of course, we all know I'm not expecting a text from the Chancery. I live out in the
If
country.
you are, you're in trouble.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Well, but you could also see things like, you know, you're walking down the street and your phone is location aware, and you go, oh, there's a sale at that Target right there.
Right.
Or, you know, or somebody you know is in that store and they've made their location public.
That's right.
You know,
Kathleen is buying sweatpants.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's right.
I do enjoy my sweatpants.
No, that's true. That's very true. And so even a person, a marketing person, this would be their dream to be able to market to you as you walk by.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Yeah. Now Disney's also thinking along the same lines with a new wristband. It's kind of along the lines of this wearable computer. You know how like if you were to go on a cruise, everything's on this little plastic card, and you don't have to. It's hooked up to your credit card and everything, and so you don't have to do anything but carry this card around and just magically swipe it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you magically get a bill. Well, Disney is thinking along the same lines with their Magic Band, as they call it. I think it's a little sophomoric, but Magic Band. It acts as a room key, a credit card, and an ID. And it could replace the resort-only credit card like a room key /ID. Now, Father, this is a really cool idea, too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another example of using the same kind of technology in a smarter way to take what used to work and to make it work better now.
That's right, and fitness companies are doing the same thing. Of course, I think one of them is like the Nike Fuel Band. I believe now that Fitbit, one of Father Ryan's favorite devices, also has a band-like thing too. And so as computers become more ubiquitous, you know, as they become part of our everyday, even more than they are now, we're still Christians. And we've talked a lot about this on our podcast, about maintaining our humanity. Ed was talking about making sure that you're continually engaged in the social interactions that are important, right? We must be authentic in our representations of our humanity to one another. What, as Christians, ought we to do to maintain our humanity, Father? Kathleen, how about you?
Yeah. You know, when I'm looking at this and when I'm looking at the technology that we are, you know, so engrossed in and so reliant on, it, you know, and as a history buff, like I love hearing about traditions that we have, and a lot of the traditions that we have in our faith, we were able to, you know, let's say all of our stories, all of our traditions come from spending time with each other.
Yeah.
And a long time ago, if you're, cutting wood or churning butter or whatever you're doing, there's that time together.
Sure.
As a community, as a family, and that's where things are passed down, traditions shared, stories are shared. And so with technology, I'm just wondering, we don't have that interaction. We don't have that slow process.
There's really no campfire to gather around if you're plugged in all the time.
So then my question becomes, what happens when all the technology fails and we are the society that is, relying on technology?
Then we make another Tom Cruise movie about technology failing.
Yeah,
and, post-apocalypse.
But all these movies, are so far-fetched, but are they really?
Yeah.
What happens if there's a humongous blackout or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
We've programmed it wrong, and everything's going to end in
2020. I'm gonna sound old here, but it amazes me when I see young children now with their iPhones and their Twitters, and they're not talking to each other. And that's the thing is I'll see folks sitting, across. Young Edward here is
You've been accused.
Yeah. How do you plead? He says, I don't even have a microphone. And that's the thing is I see young people disengaging, and so I wonder if they're actually losing some of those social skills.
Absolutely, I see it in the school setting. Absolutely.
So
what I've heard about that is that children nowadays, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but the observation is that there is no eye contact anymore with their peers, with adults, with anybody. It's because they're always glued, or they don't have to do that anymore.
Right, exactly, and that can be a real danger. And so it should be a help as an aid, but not as a replacement. We talked about this too, Father, about our memories getting shorter because of computing.
Right. I mean, there's some people who even blame the rise in ADHD to computing. Right. But I think if we do see technology as a help and as an aid and not a replacement, then we can make wise decisions without necessarily knowing exactly how many steps I've made today, or without my imagination being replaced by Wikipedia or Pinterest. I think that it's possible. It just takes a conscious effort.
That's right. That's very true. Wearable computing is not the only way to connect the digital to the real. Online marketplace Amazon has introduced a new plan to get people to buy these little plastic things that apparently contain music. I think they're called CDs.
What?
Or something like that. And it's a service called Auto Rip, Father. And basically, if somebody buys a CD, they also get the ability to, and I don't really understand it, they also get the MP3s for that album that they can download from Amazon SoundCloud or whatever it is, Amazon Cloud.
Okay. Yeah. Don't you just burn the CD to? Is that different?
Father Ryan?
Help me.
I don't know why they feel like it makes sense to try to get people to buy plastic when they're getting the MP3. I would speculate they're just trying to sell more discs, and that the industry is kind of transforming their business model. Or maybe they want to win customers from iTunes or from Google Play. I can't see any reason this exists. It just seemed like such a weird article. I felt like we had to talk about it.
Now, Jeff, I hate to place a date upon your head, but you remember several transitions in the music industry, right?
Sure, absolutely.
From LP to 8-track, from 8-track kind of back to LP. those were simultaneous, though, right?
Well, I don't know, because I've seen, and this is when I tell you this with my hand up, I promise you, we talked about this back in the '70s when the 8-tracks were just coming into being and were real popular. But we would kid around in radio about stuff being on a little card. We didn't call it data or anything, but like an integrated circuit or card we'd plug in and play from.
Wow.
And it was just probably read too many Bradbury books or something, but he's
living large, y'all.
but actually, from tape, reel-to-reel tape, which led to there were albums, and then and reel-to-reel tape was real popular back in the late '50s and early '60s. So from that to Father Ryan, do you remember 4-tracks? I know you're too young to remember those, but.
No, I don't.
I had a cousin that had a 4-track player in his car before the 8-tracks came out.
Wow, and that lasted all about 6 months, right?
Yep, it wasn't very long. But then, the albums with 45s, and then it went into tape media, and then of course, cassettes came along, and they really perfected that.
Now, as the industry changed over from one to the other, did they have to do these clever things to try and get you to buy into it? Or, I mean, obviously, you know, if I'm going to move from radio to television, I'm going to make sure that you have an incentive to buy an Admiral television, you know, that sort of thing.
Right. And it was all about the cool factor, even like with computers and stuff we're talking about now. Yeah. Everybody wants the latest and greatest. So.
Right. But I don't see here even that concept of late and great, you know. It doesn't really make sense to me that you would be buying a CD and then you also get the MP3s. I don't know. It's just...
The only thing I see of it is you can charge more for a CD because it's a physical, like, it costs more. You know, I find, I just did that. I'm trying to collect some music for the Bayou Country Superfest.
Oh.
So I'm trying to, you know, get some, and I was looking at, you know, in the store, they are, unless they're on sale, you know, $3 or $4 more expensive in CD form.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean... Yeah.
Are you getting anything extra? I mean, are you getting the CD that has the songs on it, but maybe is there anything added value like the DVDs where they have the director's cut or the scenes that they've left out?
Right. Yeah.
So there might be some sort of audio treasure in there that you could.
That would be the only way I could see is if there were a value add. I mean, of course, I love cover art. I love beautiful cover art.
Yeah. It's a tangible aspect. I mean, it's just everybody. You got to touch it, feel it.
Yeah. Sometimes I have bought CDs, even though I possess the MP3s, because I really like the design of the CD. Now that's few and far between. I know. Soy Latte QT in the chat room says CDs on Amazon usually cost less than MP3s. If you're buying them from Amazon, so that could be kind of a thing they're doing. The value add is, well, we're already giving you a cheap CD, so you'll get the MP3s for free. And I made a rhyme.
Yeah. Should we do that ooh-ah thing again? Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Anyway, one thing that you have to make any of these services work is broadband internet. Now, you don't need internet for CDs, maybe that's why, but you need broadband internet to make your Amazon listening experience work. And if your interwebs are delivered wirelessly, then we have good news on that front, actually, Father, because there's a new wireless technology out there.
Right, so you should probably play Nerd Alert, Father.
Oh, yes. I'm having to use... I'm having to use my other device here for playing sound effects.
What did that say, actually? Level
12 Geek Alert.
Geek Alert. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so right now, you're listening to this, you're almost certainly connected wirelessly to the internet using a technology that's known by the protocol number 802.11g or 802.11n.
That is correct.
Now, that technology is limited by lots of nerdy stuff, but primarily it's limited by government regulations that say we can only use very specific frequencies to transmit information. In awesome news this week, some of those government regulations were changed, and a new band of frequencies were legalized, which allows us to use a technology known by the protocol number 802.11ac. Who cares? Well, 802.11g...
Saved by the Bell fans, Mike.
802.11g tops out at 54 megabits per second. And that means transferring a 500 meg file takes 20 minutes. An 802.11n network is 5 to 10 times faster.
All right.
This new network, 802.11ac, is as fast as a wired Ethernet connection. That means if you have a movie sitting on a hard drive and you want to move it over the interwebs, you're doing it in seconds rather than minutes.
Nice.
And it also means that people can share high-speed internet connections in a home or in a school or in a small business. And that's where things really start to get interesting.
So when are we going to see this new 802.11ac?
Well, theoretically, within the next 3 or 4 months, it will become legal to make it work, but you're not going to be able to use it until you buy new equipment. And for most of us, that means not until we buy both a new computer and a new router,
right?
Which for some people could be years and years. For nerds like me, could just be a matter of months.
Right, exactly. And of course, I guess that's the thing, is you're going to have the hardware to run it. And it really could be a neat thing. I wonder, though, from the internet service provider's perspective, does this mean that we're going to maybe see internet connections in the home get a little bit cheaper too? Because I mean, obviously, if my home network can push through that much data, then maybe I'm going to need a bit more bandwidth coming from my internet service provider so that I can enjoy the benefits of that bandwidth.
Theoretically, that makes sense, but for most providers in the United States, they're still trying to limit the amount of usage that even unlimited users are getting. And so I think we're going to have some more marketplace fighting and infighting for the next few years as like cable companies try their very best to get you to not use the interwebs and to continue to watch television over their copper wire setups. So eventually that's going to go away, but for right now we're still in that mode.
Yeah, I was actually visiting a friend at the very moment that his iPhone bandwidth was throttled. And he was crestfallen. He says, "Oh, well, I've been throttled." And it was. He crawled the rest of the evening on 4G. It was kind of sad. You know, it's easy to take frivolous matters like the speed of your broadband connection too seriously, but there are other kinds of tech that are really making a difference. I mean, the speed of internet, well, you know. But how about the iShack? The iShack is a physical building which mixes cutting-edge solar technology with ancient Boussiage brick building techniques to bring dignified housing to the poorest of the poor. This is a really cool idea, Father. It's happening right now in South Africa, correct?
That's right. It's built from local clay and hay, dead grass, as well as other local materials. And the technique of mixing clay with hay is known to us Louisiana natives as boussiage. It has different terminology in different areas of the world, but it's got an almost miraculous ability to regulate temperature. And then on the roof of the boussiage shack, there are these high-efficiency solar panels which power 3 LED lights and, wait for it, a cell phone charger.
Wow. That's the world we live in.
It really is.
Yeah.
And design of the roof aids in the collection of rainwater. The windows are placed to maximize airflow, which would make Sheldon Cooper happy. And this whole thing, this whole iShack that a family can live in, is $660 American dollars.
Wow, that's hard. That's less than you would pay for 4 Pebble watches.
Yep. Yes, indeed.
Or 4 traffic tickets.
Or 4 traffic tickets, exactly. Now, Kathleen, you've done a lot of work in mission territory. In Africa yourself, and I know, where did you go this past summer?
Clagato, Arizona, but I've been to Honduras and Nicaragua. I'm going to Nicaragua this summer.
Well, okay, yeah. And so, would you put up $600 once a year to help, or would you think that this would be helpful for those that you visited?
Absolutely. When you're looking at these shacks, because I'm looking at the article online right now, and what it looks like is very similar to what they have now. Yet they don't have any solar panels or,
Right, it's just the house. It's the boussiage.
Yeah. So I did a lot of work in a place called Kibera in Kenya, in Nairobi, and it's one of the largest slums in the world. And there is no electricity. There is no running water. There is no, there are no lights. So when the sun goes down, you get out of Kibera because things go bad. But but the idea of there's not a lot of rain. This constantly, out in the open, the sun's constantly shining. So to harness that power, to harness solar power, and to do things like, they had programs in place now where they were using ethylene gas. Is that right?
Ethanol?
Yeah, that's it. Ethanol. They were using ethanol in purifying water, and so people were able to take advantage of that. There's a lot of movement in these poor countries to take advantage of what is natural out there. And so $660 to build a house is, I would definitely, and I know many people would, especially since it's harnessing some natural abilities, natural airflow, collecting rainwater, and being able to use solar energy. I think it's a great idea. I think it's what a lot of poor nations are moving towards when you talk about mission work and being able to provide substantial housing.
And $600 is a doable amount for even the poorest parish in the United States.
Absolutely.
To be able to be in solidarity with the poorest of the poor who do not have housing. Right. We pray for them all the time in the intentions at Mass, but this is a very sustainable way that the parish can say, we're going to provide another home. We're going to provide another shelter, or maybe 2 or 3, depending upon the generosity of our parishioners. And I think that's a very good thing.
It is.
The project was begun with enough cash to build about 1,000 ice shacks in the slums of South Africa. And if the project works, it could be built around the world, where slum cities are certainly all too common. Now, for any of you maybe who listen that have done any mission work, in a lot of the cities that are outside of first world countries, it's not uncommon to be in a capital city and to see these shanty towns, where people are living in conditions that we wouldn't even go camping with.
Exactly.
And so $600 is certainly something that's very, very doable. Very cool.
I think too with the upkeep, a lot of times you see, when we were in Canberra, they were putting computers in, and there was a lot of discussion about great for a computer lab. One, you had to lock it up. There was no internet.
Right.
And so this is, I think, better and easier to maintain as well. This kind of technology is kind of natural technology.
Yeah.
So not only is it cheaper, I think, to put in, but also to maintain and to grow off of.
Yeah. When I was in Haiti, the convent that we stayed in, they had solar power, and they had these huge batteries up in the attic, and this big array of solar panels, and it was really neat to see how it worked, and it powered everything.
Yeah.
That was the primary power source, which is why when I left my computer on at night, I drained the entire thing.
No.
I don't think I've ever confessed that before, but I think it was me, because next morning I got up, and all the nuns were looking at me like, that's the one. That's the one who asked where the power plug was.
Go scoundrel.
Yeah. So then I asked if I could see the whole setup, and that kind of helped because they were able to share and leave it, So may absolve vote, I guess. Anyway, while the universities of South Africa are making strides in new tech, the College of St. Mary Magdalene in New Hampshire is making strides in old tech. They have founded a confraternity of St. Joseph. Jeff, have you ever heard of confraternities before?
No.
Because we were talking right before the show about even though Jeff has been Catholic for what seems like forever now, he's still discovering new things. And Jeff, you're really not alone, because I've never heard of a confraternity is not an uncommon thing. Now, Father, a confraternity is something that's old, but it's also new again, right?
That's right. Confraternities date back all the way to the beginning of the first religious orders with St. Basil the Great, St. Benedict, Nurtia. And basically people have surrounded the convents and the monasteries and have basically adopted the rules in lay life. And so you say, well, I'm going to be a member of my family and live in an ordinary secular life and work at the wine press or whatever, but I'm going to live as much as possible the rule of perfection of St. Augustine or St. Basil or St. Benedict.
Right.
And so that's basically what a confraternity boils down to. It's a group of lay people who commit themselves to live by some spiritual rule. And these became insanely popular with the rise of the French school of spirituality in the 17th, 18th, 19th centuries. And about 50 years ago, they fell out of favor. But they're starting to regain interest, especially among young members of the laity who are kind of going, well, this makes sense. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life, and here's a rule to live by. Super good.
That's right. I find that a lot of younger people nowadays, and certainly young adults, are looking for rules of life. Either they didn't receive them in the parenting that they got growing up, or they rejected them, and now they're looking for them. Or they were generally good kids, and they just want something to help them along their faith journey. And so this confraternity of St. Joseph is for members to hopefully encourage one another to be like St. Joseph. Now, Father, they follow a certain rule of life, which usually includes a certain type of commitment, correct?
Right. It almost always amounts to some specific regimen of daily prayer, some specific regimen of receiving the sacrament, usually daily confession or daily communion and weekly confession, as well as some service to the community and some intention of spiritual growth. And some of them also include some specific charism, like, I'm going to teach, or I'm going to work with the poor, or I'm going to work in the hospital or visit the nursing home or something like that.
Yeah, that's really kind of neat. And so you're actually, in a sense, living the spirituality of a certain religious order, but you're still very much in the world.
That's right. That's exactly what it is.
So, Jeff, now that you've heard about confraternities, what do you think?
Well, it sounds to me like a real commitment.
Well, yeah, certainly.
And I think it's wonderful though that there's this revival.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that I like about it too is that there are confraternities that are for different subgroups within the church. For example, like altar servers.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that right, Father? There are confraternities that altar servers can belong to specifically.
Right, and you have you also have for young women in the church, and you also have for athletes, and you also have for any number of different groups. I know my friend Father Chad Partain is one of the international directors of the Children of Mary, a hugely popular confraternity for children that was dedicated to Saint Philomena, and it had hundreds of thousands of members at one time, and is now growing just like lightning.
Yeah, and then of course, I know I'm a member of the Militia Immaculata, which is St. Maximilian Kolbe's group, and that's actually growing a little bit more in popularity as well. And then of course also the Apostleship of Prayer. You might see on your grandmother's car that little Sacred Heart Auto League sticker or decal. That part of that was from it was kind of a confraternity. And that's a really kind of cool thing with the Apostleship of Prayer. And so, Kathleen, have you ever heard of confraternities before?
Yes, I have.
You have?
I have. When I went to visit the National Dominicans, we became members of the Confraternity of Angelic Warfare.
Nice.
Yeah, so I do. I've moved on to one.
Well, that's really cool. So you try and live according to those to whatever the
Yeah, it's I find it more difficult because we are disconnected a little bit physically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get emails from them, and they're hey, this is what's going on. Don't forget to do this, or this is what's going on with this group of, So it's now in the digital age is a little easier, but it is a little bit more difficult. I'm almost like, oh wait, shoot.
Do my thing.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
Father Ryan, do you think we have a confraternity going here with the Catholic Underground?
No, because we don't have a rule of life.
Okay.
We very well could, each establish a confraternity associated with new media work.
Ooh.
There you go.
But it should not be taken lightly, because if you're going to consecrate yourself to something,
Yeah.
You really are making a vow before God. And so what you don't want to do is say, I'm a member of 74 confraternities.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Stand before the judgment throne of God and go, you owed me 77 Hail Marys a day, and I didn't get them.
Can I put some on layaway? Yes, it's called purgatory. Yeah, exactly. So hopefully this will be something that you, our one listener there, might look into. And there are some other popular ones, right? Like the Blue Army, the Militia Immaculata, Maximilian Kolbe, the Children of Mary. There's the Confraternity of the Miraculous Medal, of the Brown Scapular. A lot of different things, right? There's also the Confraternity of Christian Doctrine, right, Father?
It's one we all know about. It's more commonly called CCD.
Yeah, it is a confraternity, believe it or not. Yeah, maybe that's why we call it PSR these days, because there's a little bit too much commitment associated with confraternity of Christian doctrine. Anyway, other community-type news. A new community of religious sisters has been established with the Anglican Ordinariate. Right, Father? I'm excited.
This is absolutely great news. What happened is, effectively, 11 former members of the Anglican community of St. Mary the Virgin, which was based in Wantage, Oxfordshire, that's a lot of names, were received into full communion of the Catholic Church through the Ordinariate. And together with Sister Caroline Joseph, formerly of the Anglican community of Walsingham, the sisters have established a new Catholic community entirely under the auspices of the Ordinariate. And so the Sisters of the Blessed Virgin Mary will continue many of the traditions of the Wantage community, but they're officially adopting the rule of St. Benedict.
That's really cool. So that's their rule of life. I think it had been the rule of St. Augustine, and so now they're adopting this new rule. Now Anglicans have religious orders.
Right, and they always have. They have all kinds of different ones. Basically, everything that was available in England at the time of the split has remained present. Some have died off, but basically there's that continued presence is there.
All right, and so they have simply come into full communion with the Catholic Church. They've adopted a new rule, and they've adopted the Benedictine habit, correct?
That's right. They changed their habit to be the black habit of the Benedictines, and have adopted the traditional wimple of the Benedictine order. That's the head.
Yeah. Now, I have always said that you can always tell the health of a diocese or really of a universal church by the presence of religious orders. You know, if you have a diocese that has a lot of dying religious orders, well, you have to look at the health of the diocese itself. You know, and I think this is a beautiful thing for the ordinariate because, as you know, Father, it's part of your balanced breakfast, right? It's essential for a healthy church.
No, it absolutely is. You need the prayers of men and women who are making themselves white martyrs, bloodless martyrs for the sake of souls. And without those prayers, you don't have the engine that makes a church go. And it's absolutely essential. You're dead on.
Yeah, oftentimes we tend to look at religious orders, at least the world certainly does, as, well, what do they do? They've got a pretty easy life. They live in community, all their meals are provided for them, and all they got to do is pray. Well, what do? Well, that's the answer, is the religious orders that are present in our world, especially in our United States, while we're trying to live our busy lives, they are praying that we're able to sustain our relationship with the Lord. And oftentimes we, as kind of the hoity-toity American, think that I'm doing it all myself. But no, you're actually being lifted up on the prayers of all of those who are praying the office every day for your intentions, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if if you've ever had an intensive time of prayer, you know, especially for us lay people who don't, you know, who just do maybe some normal.
Yeah, like we go on a retreat and your daily prayers.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that you know, religious people just sit around and do nothing. And if all they do is pray, and they're especially these cloistered, you know, that's exhausting.
Yeah, to do it right.
Right, and then to you know, not only pray for yourself, but to pray for other people. You know, to constantly have that on your mind, on your heart, to be praying and keep those people in mind. You know, that's something for sure. And so I don't think they do. I don't think they do nothing. You know.
I know, yeah. But that's the world always sees prayer as something that's frivolous, you know. But we as Catholics, certainly as Christians, we know the importance of prayer, the power of prayer. And why prayer needs to be here, because if our prayer begins to sag, then we do. You know, I don't know if you've noticed, but whenever you're not praying, I'll bet your life is not falling into place the way that it should. And if you are praying and your life doesn't seem to be falling into place the way that it should, it means that you're on Calvary. And oftentimes it is our prayer in times of our lives being completely messed up that we are actually able to be with our Lord instead of think that we're far away from Him. You know.
Yeah.
So it can be a very, very useful thing for our own perseverance. In sort of an almost back chat segment this week, we received a recommendation from the Australian Redemptorists, who, by the way, have a very beautiful website. Father Bruce Duncan let us know about a speech that was made to Social Policy Connections. And Father, what do we know about this?
Well, basically, we know that that it was presented with the simple Catholic notion that your faith has to extend beyond the practice of your religion into every aspect of your life. You know, we've been talking about this with the recent election, with the attacks being made against our religious freedoms, and also by, you know, everything we teach about the way you live the Christian life. Your entire life, the religious part as well as the non-religious part, should be just evocative of the faith that we have.
Exactly, and that's very true. Oftentimes we tend to try and, I guess, compartmentalize these sorts of things. Correct?
Yeah, I think that's the temptation.
Right, exactly, and so a good example perhaps is with the recent elections in the United States, attacks being made against our religious freedoms, and now we talked about this on the show before. Is that it wasn't really until the 60s whenever we began to see this dichotomy between our being a Catholic and living our Catholic faith in the public realm, right?
That's right.
Exactly. And so now we're called really anew as we look at the Health and Human Services mandate that's coming down the pike very soon now. How can we allow our faith to go past just either simple practice of our religion? How can we allow it to go beyond what we may do publicly? It's really got to be a part of who we are, and that extends certainly to the way that we vote, and whether or not we support certain businesses. I know we've talked about this, Father, is that the fact that people are supporting Chick-fil-A and Hobby Lobby and things like that, it's not because they're just kind of wantonly saying, well, we want to support you because you're anti-that. No, they're saying we want to support you because you're standing up ultimately for Jesus Christ, right?
In every aspect.
Very cool. Yeah, exactly. And that's the important thing here is we've got to be willing to once again rejoin our private practice of the faith and our public practice of the faith. Not necessarily the display, being all external, but the choices that we make in the public sphere have got to reflect what's going on in our heart. And I would dare say that if what we're doing in the public life reflects poorly on our interior life, we must examine our interior life, because there can't be a dichotomy, right? There can't be a dichotomy in the way that we live and the way that we are in relationship with Jesus Christ. And so oftentimes if we find ourselves not living the way that the church says that we should, we need to do some serious examination. And oftentimes it's our own pride that says, no, I'm the right one. And then we start getting all sorts of other troubles. So I suppose, even though we're a little ahead of time, but no time like the present for
the CU Pick of the Week.
All right, Kathleen.
Yes.
Would you like to give us your pick of the week?
I would. My pick of the week is a book, it's a book.
An actual book, like paper.
It's on paper.
Yeah.
This is the way I like these kind of books, because it's called 33 Days to Morning Glory, a do-it-yourself retreat in preparation for Marian consecration.
Really?
And I was turned on by a couple of friends who I'm all about. I need a beginning and an end.
This is kind of a new way to look at the
Yes.
total consecration.
Mm-hmm. He takes a lot of stuff from St. Louis de Montfort.
Yeah.
And it's actually written by Father Michael E. Gately. And he really talks in the intro about kind of simplifying it and modernizing it a little bit. But it's a day by day, just little, reflections and prayers. And then at the end of these 33 days, you consecrate yourself to Mary. And
Correct.
It's really, really cool. I'm all about short and simple, and this is how you do it. Like, if you ask me to freehand something, I need a beginning and an end.
Yeah.
And so it's really, really cool. This is actually the second time I'm starting it. The first time I got a little off. It says you can be off by a day or two. I actually got off like 5 days. And I thought, well, I'm really not devoted to this, so I have to pick another time.
And I have to say, I like this because the de Montfort fathers have, of course, the original 33-day consecration, the preparation for total consecration. And it involves saying a lot of long prayers, a lot of long rote prayers and things like that. And this is actually it's reflections that kind of provide a little bit more meat.
Right.
Obviously, rote prayers are important; they're an important part of our tradition. But this looks to be like some beautiful little reflections that kind of give some meat to those prayers.
Oh yeah,
I really like that. Father, I have a question about this. Is there a right way to do the total consecration?
Not that I'm aware of. I know that you can kind of approach it from any number of different perspectives, and my understanding has always been that provided that you are taking time to spiritually make yourself ready to understand what you're undertaking, it's not a right or a wrong way.
Well, that's really interesting, because I did the total consecration back whenever I was a seminarian. And just because of the scope and the scale of that 33-day period, because I knew I couldn't devote the time I need, I haven't done it in quite a while. And so I really like this. The different weeks are broken up. I'm taking your pick of the week.
That's okay.
The different weeks are broken up with the saints. So week 1 is St. Louis Marie de Montfort. The second week is St. Maximilian Kolbe. The third week is Blessed Mother Teresa. 4 is John Paul II. And the final 5 days you kind of synthesize and review, and then you have the day of consecration. I'm going to get myself that book.
It's really awesome. And it gives you, several days you can start, so that will end on a Marian feast. And it's really cool that this second time I'll end on the feast of Our Lady of Lourdes, who St. Bernadette, it was actually my confirmation sponsor.
Oh.
And so I just want to read something really quick that it says. One of the things that really struck me from the very beginning. We question, why do you have to go through Mary? What's this whole Marian thing about? And it says, Therefore, every human being is invited to rest in the womb of Mary and be transformed there by the power of the Holy Spirit more perfectly into Christ's own image. Yes, if we want to become more fully Christ, then we need to belong more fully to Mary. And it's just such a beautiful image of how, if we want to be more like Christ, then we have to go through Mary.
Yeah.
And be transformed by the Holy Spirit. Just beautiful.
It's beautiful to see the Blessed Mother that way. She is very much she brings us places. She's kind of like she's kind of like your mom until you get your license. She brings us places. She shows us faces of Jesus that we might not ordinarily be able to see, and she prepares our hearts in a real way.
Because who knows her more? Who knows him more than Mary?
That's exactly right, and that's exciting to me. So I'm glad, Kathleen, you've actually brought me something I did not already have.
Wow,
that's cool. I'm gonna have
to give me a sound clip for that.
Kathleen has brought me a prayer book that I don't have.
Yay!
Very good. All right. So we move from this very beautiful book to Jeff, who is all about the tech.
Well, I do love techie stuff, and I got an email this week about our friends down in Australia at Rode, RODE microphones, and they've come out with a great mic. In fact, they're sold out right now. It's for the iPhone 4, and it actually plugs into the bottom part where you normally stick the charging cable.
The 68,000 pin connector.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's 30 or 36. Father Ryan, 32? 30. 30. Okay. 30 it is. We have a winner.
That's right.
But it's a very very sleek looking microphone. It's an XY mic, so it's actually two microphones in a X pattern to record in stereo, and it is high resolution recording. So for someone who's like in the news biz, radio recordings, or interviews,
like us,
yay.
Musicians, it's wonderful. You can even mount it to like a camera.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty slick. It's about $200.
Yeah.
But my only concern is, and I know Father Ryan, you may have had this problem too with condenser mics, because they don't like humidity and they don't like plosives or wind noise.
Yeah. Pop, right.
Yeah. So I don't know enough about it yet, but I know it's a good high quality microphone, and it's worth checking into at IXY Mic, MIC, IXYMIC.com.
MOUSC. We'll put it in the show notes. Yeah. All right. Father Ryan, you also have a pick of the week too.
Indeed, I do. Now, for people who know, I'm a big fan of reading and big fan of ebooks, and I use a program called Caliber to keep up with the about 1,200 books that I have on my computer at any one time. And that allows me to put them onto my Kindle or onto my Nexus 7 or onto my iPad as I see fit. Well, since I got my Nexus 7 for Android, I've been trying to figure out a good way to read books on it. And I came across a little app on Google Play called Caliber Companion. Because it lives on my Nexus, and I push a button, and then it loads up, and my Caliber library on my computer, Windows, Mac, Linux, can see that device and send books to it wirelessly, or remove books from it, or add tags, or add all kinds of metadata that allow me then to say, I want to read a biography of somebody, and then I can look up all the biographies I have, and it is incredibly helpful. You'd think that ebook libraries would be easy to manage because it's such a simple amount of data, but remarkably, everybody does it badly. Amazon does it badly. Everybody does it badly. Caliber Companion costs $2.99 on the Android or Google Play Store, and it's just spectacular. So I definitely recommend it.
And that's cool, because I'm getting a little bit warmer to maybe getting a Nexus 7. And I like the idea that this Caliber now of course, there's also you also have the Amazon app, right? But it just doesn't do as well.
Well, if you have a dozen books, then it's great. And if you're going to buy all your books from Amazon, it's great. But if you have any books from another source, like Ignatius or something like that, it's really not great.
Oh, okay. Very cool. That's really neat. Now I took kind of the easy way out for my pick of the week, and it's mainly because out of necessity. I didn't have my iPad tonight, And so I didn't realize until this week that DJ Soundbox Pro, that little thing that you get the sound from on my little soundbox thing here, I'm running this from my iPhone right now. And so because I was in a pinch, this is perfect. So I can do everything that I do with the iPad for the sound effects, but it's available on the iPod, so or the iPhone or iPod. So imagine you're at an event where you need to do something over the PA. Very cool. You can use your iPhone for this. So that's my pick of the week. Quickly, I guess we could go to our Audible pick of the week, and we have an Audible plug for you that Jeff will read in his dulcet tones.
Let me get it queued up here.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, it's a live show, folks, and sometimes our cursor moves around.
Yes, it does. Portions of the Catholic Underground are brought to you by Audible.com. Audible provides spoken word digital audio with over 100,000 selections to choose from. Audibletrial.com/Catholic Underground is where you can sign up, and you can join with your Amazon account to become a gold member or a platinum member. Membership offers you 1 or 2 audiobooks every month that gives you access to free and discounted materials, books, magazines, even daily newspapers like the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times.
And so we've got a pick of the week for you this week, correct?
A pick of the week?
Yeah. We may have lost Father Ryan again. I'm not sure. This week.
The Audible. Yeah. Okay, Father Ryan, your turn.
Jump in and recommend the excellent book called Drinking with George, a Barstool Professional's Guide to Beer.
By George Wendt.
By George Wendt, who played Norm on Cheers for so many years. The book is hysterical. It's comical. It's a great guide to beer. And since we mentioned beer briefly, I think beer should be continually mentioned, and I would recommend it heartily.
I think we should. That's very good. So if you want the show notes and you want the stuff that accompanies our podcast, and if you want to find out more about our apostolate, you can even find out ways to connect with us on Twitter, Facebook, or our new Google Hangout. You can head over to CatholicUnderground.com. Father Ryan's church is at CampyCatholicChurch.com. He's at F.R. Humphreys on Twitter. Father Ryan, thank you for joining us.
It's been my distinct pleasure.
We've also got Jeff Blackwell. He's our audio traffic controller. He's the High Monkey at Blackwell Communications Group, and he's been really looking at Father Ryan's Skype connection like a crazy man today.
Yes, it's been much fun, and it's always enjoyable, Father.
Thanks, Jeff. Always glad to have you. We've also got Kathleen Lee, the Faith Ninja.
I like the word mucky muck.
You like mucky muck? That's true. Yeah, we like it too. Perhaps a little bit too much. And of course, Ed Ball had to leave in the midst of the podcast, but we thank him for his presence. We might have to get him back there, Jeff.
I think so. He enjoyed it.
Yeah, he had some very good things to say. So we'll see if we can't get Ed and Ed Jr. back for the show. And of course, you know me. I'm Father Chris Dagger. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Digital Catholic. You can join us on the interwebs at CatholicUnderground.tv for even more from the CU. And, of course, we want to remind you that we're on every week live at CatholicUnderground.tv. If you're in the Baton Rouge area, you can listen to us on 1380 AM WPYR, which is the Catholic radio station here in the capital city. And maybe even soon you might be able to listen to us elsewhere because there are some rumors going around, you know. And so we want to thank you, as always, for our benefactors, for those of you who support what we do at the Catholic Underground. We want to thank all of you who pray for us, and we want to thank you for tuning in and hanging out with us on the digital continent. We're CatholicUnderground.com. We are Faith Gone Digital. We'll see you next time.
Get ready, I'm going to put this on.
From the Catholic Underground.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the after show here, the after party. We call See You Later. I'm Father Chris Decker. And Kathleen is indisposed at the moment. You know, as Kathleen sometimes is, she probably went to get another another sparkling beverage because, she's got a rider. Not many people know this. She's actually got a contract, and we have to provide her with sparkling beverages here.
Yes, along with the M&Ms with all the red ones taken out.
That's exactly right. Yeah, she's a bit of a pill. Oh, hi, Kathleen. We didn't see you.
Why are you telling me I was in the potty?
I just said that you were indisposed.
Oh,
So I
okay.
said, yeah.
That's so polite.
Yeah, we were talking about your rider where you need sparkling beverages.
Oh, yes.
And no red M&Ms and only
Yes.
blue ones or something like that.
Yeah.
But the blue M&Ms are for Mary, right?
Yeah, of course.
Exactly. And of course, Jeff Blackwell joining us.
And Father Ryan Humphreys.
And Father Ryan Humphreys.
Oh.
I think. Father, are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah.
There he is.
Well, we tried something new this week. We stopped using the tie line just a cuz, and that's okay. That's for later. We stopped using the tie line just because we had that audio hiccup, where we could hear ourselves speaking, and then Father Ryan would answer the question using like a half a second or second delay. I think Skype worked okay. It was Skype though.
Do we have some Cylonic?
A little bit, but not terrible.
No, I think what the biggest problem with Skype is, as long as everyone is quiet, like if I were to go, it that gate kind of switches you off and back on again, and so I just need to keep my mouth shut while you're talking.
Turn that off.
I don't know how to do that. That's a Skype anomaly. That's kind of one of the things.
I think it's Skype doing the work. I think Skype is doing that compression thing so that it can provide a suitable mix minus.
If you go in the microphone setting,
Oh yes.
to automatically adjust microphone settings, if you unclick that, it should turn off that noise correction.
Well, I'm going to look at that. If we lose, we'll call you back.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, just do butterfly comma.
Oh no, this is a PC.
Oh. Yeah. Let's see. Are you there? Okay. Now. Not wrong.
I got a little
one.
excited there for a minute. Sorry. It's
I had to, in the middle of the show, go and turn my my trackpad off because I couldn't. The stupid thing just kept clicking for me, and I couldn't actually select what to line through. Strike.
yeah. So here we are, just hanging out on the air, trying to find the.
So you said it's under Skype microphone settings?
Yeah,
There's
it's under,
set for preferences, and then it's under audio/video.
Preferences? We found preferences yet, Father?
no, I don't.
Father
see-
Chris is.
Oh, but it's tools options here.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah. Audio, video.
This is neat. Adjusting the computer audibly.
Okay, Father, give us some audio.
Okay, this is me talking, but you have to talk at the same time.
Oh, okay, so I'll talk at the same time you're talking.
You?
We're talking together.
For me talking while you talk.
We're dancing together. We're having a bit of a waltz. Yeah, I don't know.
You didn't hear me talking while you were talking.
No, I don't think I did.
Well, that's maybe.
Yeah, it could be. It could just be Skype.
Well, I mean, but frankly,
Wait.
Oh yeah, there you go. It worked.
It definitely works better, Father.
that's good.
Yeah. Well. So
Now that we've made those technical adjustments,
that's right. You managed to.
Another
I can't believe you're still listening. I can't believe you're still here. Now, I'm interested by this. We didn't have it on the show, but Kathleen, do you know what a Roku is?
I actually do. And my Aaron has a Roku.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means. Like, I'm
It's
not.
a box. All right.
It's a box, and all these things come in, and then it's download, and you can just do it from your. I don't know. All I know is that when I go to Aaron's house, she's like, click, 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 and we can watch things that haven't even aired in the United States.
Father Ryan, would you like to give Roku in one short sentence to Kathleen?
There's a box.
Oh.
It's a box. Yeah, it's a digital box. Basically, it allows you to view internet web channels.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, some of them providing audio and video. A lot of them providing video things now.
So like Hulu or Netflix.
Correct, exactly.
gotcha.
But now Roku will be an over-the-top provider for Time Warner Cable. So your Roku box is your cable box. Isn't that right, Father?
What?
Plan. It's not going to be exactly that way, but that's basically what they're doing. If you subscribe to Time Warner and you have like the one cable box in the big room, you could theoretically get by with just a Roku in the other rooms of the house.
I really like this. So this is kind of the idea that that DirecTV and all the other, actually the cable companies are now using that. If you have multiple cable boxes, you can get the same services on all the little slave boxes in the house, right?
I just, yeah, in fact, we belong, well, should I mention the name?
Yeah.
Cox.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, Cox Cable is who we've been with for years. And I used to have just the HD box and then just regular cable in 2 other bedrooms. But actually was able to save money. It was about $10 a month, but I have what they call the host boxes where, closest to the main TV, and then 2 client boxes is what I call them. But each one has their own remote. You can, pause and play from different rooms, and you get the full assortment of channels in all the rooms,
I like that because right now in the rectory I decided that I wanted to put a cable box with DVR in the guest room.
Yes.
Because when I have parents visit other priests and things like that, I want them to be able to relax. So I don't know, Father, would you say that my guest room is a retreat-like facility?
Oh, it's wonderful. The guest room at St. James is absolutely wonderful. I always sleep very well there, even if I've got to get up at the crack of dawn and leave. It's a great.
Which he usually does. So I try to make sure that there are amenities, and one of those is like, well, if I've got a priest who's visiting here either from overseas or who's on vacation or if mom and dad are over, I want them to be able to be comfortable.
Oh, that's neat.
And so I said, well, I'll give them a DVR because you never know. If you're a priest who's running coverage for me, you may want to record a program and come back and watch it later. I don't see why you shouldn't have a full hotel experience in my guest room.
It is very hotel-like.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and yes, because Kathleen, well, she has not stayed in the guest room.
I have not stayed in the guest room.
But you walked in, you've seen it.
After Father Chris remodeled, we came for a tour. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. I've been down there myself, too.
Yeah.
Actually, I know I've had the invitation. We just haven't taken you up on it yet.
That's right. Yeah, you're always welcome to come visit. And so I would like to do this idea of having client boxes. So, Father, we don't have Time Warner. But of course, I would imagine. Do you think other folks are going to follow suit?
I think if Time Warner is successful, I think everybody wants to, because it's got to be cheaper for them to be able to charge you for service and then not have to worry about providing you with any equipment.
Yeah, exactly. And so their overhead changes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I like it.
It's better all around.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, I'm thinking about my guest room at St. Philip, which is my other parish. Right now, just because cost prohibitive and things like that, I have the cable company out there was kind of yucky, and so I opted for some satellite options. And there's no satellite option in the guest room there. They just have like a little over the antenna, TV. And I think I would like to do something like that. I wonder if I couldn't just use a Roku for that. Because Father Ryan, there's also another cool app out there called Plex, right?
That's right. I use Plex at my house, and I have a Roku set up in the other room, and it's really quite astounding. I've got 3.5 terabytes of media here in my house, and anybody who wants to can sit in the other room and sit there and watch it, and I don't have to deal with it. It's easy.
It's like your own private LodgeNet.
Yeah, it's outstanding. And in fact, there's a LodgeNet clone now of Plex I saw that's super fun.
Really? Oh, I think I would like that. Yeah. Yeah. Could you do like checkout? I could do guest room checkout on my Roku.
We called Travis who could redneck something together.
That would be awesome. It sends me a little text whenever the
you
guest
give them
is
a little
checked out.
pebble, and when they left the premises, it would.
That's right. Give them a little magic bracelet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like this idea.
Well, in the chat room, somebody has, I can't really see all of it there, Father.
Yeah.
I have Roku instead of cable. Is that
Now there are a lot of people who have cut the cable as it is.
Wow.
They are umbilically unsupported by the cable company, except probably their broadband provider.
Yeah. That's not Erin does. She doesn't have cable.
Yeah. And a lot of the cable news are starting to do this. I know Fox will actually broadcast over the air, over Roku, over web. I think between like 9 and 1 or something like that in the morning. And so you get basically the Fox News channel in compressed form.
Wow.
They actually have their own studio for doing this custom news broadcast from 9 to 1 or 2 in the afternoon.
My goodness.
And so this is a really compelling model, In fact, I'd love to see Catholic Underground. We have a budding a Roku app that's in development. It's actually waiting for approval. That's right. You heard me right. We have a Catholic Underground app awaiting approval from Roku.
That to me, that would be very interesting to have you fathers talk about the process of actually building an app and getting the approval and all that. I've often wondered about that.
Yeah, now we could do that. We would have to get Travis Boudreau because he's our resident coder guy. But that would be a really cool thing. Roku actually makes it easier. It's a lot easier than the Apple Store, but I think you just kind of get put into the queue.
Wow.
For Roku.
Okay.
Now we don't have just to let you know what we're developing. We only have access to our podcasts, our audio podcasts, at the moment because we're trying to figure out a way to serve video, whether it's our older episodes in video or even to be able to do live things. That kind of the costs change for things like that because there's really no cheap option for delivering video. There's just not yet, anyway. So hopefully that'll be ready. We were hoping to have it as a Christmas gift. But
wow.
You kind of get put in the queue, and it's ready when it's ready, and we're then hoping to have it as an Epiphany gift, and it is what it is. So
Easter?
Maybe by it'll be appropriately a Lenten gift.
There you go.
Another thing, kind of connected with the programming, is Ford. There's a lot of tech news, Father.
Yeah, the CES was this week, and so it was next to impossible to find anything not tech-related in some way, shape, or form. There were hundreds of articles.
Yeah, now Ford's doing this new thing. Obviously, their cars are becoming more computer than car these days, and now they have kind of like a software development kit, right?
Yeah, so basically Ford Sync is a way that the car interacts with you. You Bluetooth your phone into it, and the car uses your connection, and you can do all kind of voice recognition, and you can just say, play everything by who's an artist, like Pearl Jam, and it'll play. It figures out how to interact with phones, so you don't have to take your eyes off the road. Well, there's a couple of companies like Pandora and others that have gotten involved and have made their apps workable within that ecosystem. But Ford has been very, very strict, kind of like Apple, about who gets to do that. Well, this week they basically took the restrictions off and said anybody who wants to do it, we'll open it up, and we have to approve your app, but anybody who wants to can apply and put their app in the box.
So what sorts of things could we look at on happening on your Ford? Would this just be like maybe for Spotify, or I don't know? See, I don't know what apps are on there already natively.
Well, right now it's basically just Pandora and a very, very small handful of audio apps. A lot of your navigation apps are going to want to get involved.
Yeah.
Certainly anybody who produces audio content, video content is right out. But you could certainly have an app that would read your RSS feed to you, or read your news to you, or even read your audiobooks to you. I think anything that can make content something that you can hear is going to be extremely valuable with this, and a lot of people are going to want to get involved.
Well, that's exciting. Actually, I'm quite excited by that. Is there anything faith related that we didn't talk about? Because I feel like we rebounded in the second half of the show.
I think so.
One thing I told you that should have really been my pick of the week is the trip to New Orleans.
Oh yeah,
because of the mass down at the shrine of Our Lady of Prompt Succor. This December 8th, excuse me, I say December 8th. It was January 8th was the official end of the Battle for New Orleans, or Battle of New Orleans.
Yeah.
And there's some really interesting miracles associated with that battle, and Andrew Jackson and the fight that occurred, and the church down there. So
it's a beautiful church.
It is gorgeous.
It's really cool, Father. It's built like an L, actually. It's a traditional church design. It has a high altar. That is still, it's beautiful, completely untouched by the passage of time, and that's where Our Lady of Prompt Succor's image is. It's the wooden statue, actually, the larger one, and it's on a brass base, they told me, so that the wood does not split.
Really? I didn't hear that. Okay.
And the crown, the Blessed Mother's crown, and the child Jesus' crown, the statue, are made from all of the gemstones of the women of New Orleans who donated them as a thank you for averting either a storm in this case or the fire. I can't remember which one it was. And so even her crown, and the priest who was there said, well, it's not the finest gemstones, but it's the gemstones of the people of New Orleans, which kind of makes it more of an estimable value,
Yes.
And then of course if you're looking at the high altar and you turn to your left, you see another altar, the altar of the Sacred Heart. And then if you were to turn completely around 180 degrees from the altar of the Sacred Heart, you can see what used to be the cloister for the nuns that lived there. And so there's this, actually it's a larger oratory, and they have all of their choir seating against the back walls where they would chant the office, and then they have the prioress and the abbess's chair there as well at the rear, at the back, always at the back, right? There's kind of this in service to the Lord kind of thing. But of course the religious sisters don't use that the same way that they used to. But it's still a beautiful church, and it's a wonderful witness to what Our Lady did specifically for the people of New Orleans, in helping them to win the Battle of New Orleans, which took place on the Chalmette battlefield, and also she. What's that, Father? I'm gonna try him again. Say that again.
I disagreed with you.
You disagreed with me?
Agreed with you.
Oh, okay. Agreed with me.
Skype is doing its thing, and then of course,
Skype is doing its thing, and then of course the averting of storms and fires and things of that nature that she did. You can also see the little original statue that came from France. They call it the Sweetheart because one of the sisters said that Mary was a sweetheart, so that's there too in the little room. So.
They have a nice museum there in the old. Well, it's now a school.
Yeah.
So it is well worth your time and to make the visit and trip down there, or even just look it up online and find out about the history. It's fascinating.
Yeah, there's a pretty good Wikipedia article on Our Lady of Prom Sucker. So there you go. Well, that'll pretty much do it for us here on the See You Later. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to have myself a nice called
20?
Wait,
what?
a nice, tall, cool glass of water, and apparently I need some anti-stuttering medication. I'm not sure what's going on here. Anyway, that'll do it for us here at the See You Later. Jeff Blackwell, thanks as always for joining us.
My pleasure.
Cafe late.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And I'm Peter Decker, joined by Father Brian Humphreys, we think, on Skype. Make sure you join us every week for the See You Later. It happens after the radio broadcast takes place, so roughly around 8 o'clock. If you're listening to us on the podcast, you get the whole thing at CatholicUnderground.com. We'll see you next time. All right. Oh, look, you joined the Google Hangout.
I did. I was there. I am there.